Hey guys, I am Big and Scary. I'm bringing you another StarCraft 2 replay from oGaming, this time featuring Tenza in our bottom right hand side. He is a Grandmasters on the NA server, but he also plays on the Korean server where he is simply Masters. Do not be fooled by the TMB, that stands for Touch My Body. He is definitely part of oGaming Academy, and his opponent on the bottom left hand side from Bubbles Gaming, I believe, is NaDam. NaDam is our also Masters Terran. I believe that this was on the Korean server, so Masters on the Korean side of things. So absolutely fantastic at the game, definitely. Terran versus Zerg, which is my favorite matchup. And we're on Whirlwind, which is actually a really cool map. I hated this map when it first came out. I really, really did. And I tried my best to despise it. And then it kind of grew on me, and the third became a much more manageable sort of thing. I was wrong. I was totally wrong. This is a great map, and it's very fun, especially to spectate on, because there's only one small little island of scouting. Everything else is very much map awareness, very much controlling where your opponent can go with your army and with his army, and denying drops, which is really cool. I play Zerg, so my Overlord placement in this map is definitely what I struggle on, and hopefully we'll see a good example of that out of Tenza. Very early gas coming out of NaDam as the Rax is thrown down, about halfway through, or a little bit later than the traditional Reaper opening, so we will probably be seeing some sort of add-on immediately after that Rax finishes up, but still pretty much right on top of each other is going to be finishing, so he might have just enough gas to squeak out a Reaper. We will have to keep an eye out on that. Both players are beginning to tank up quite a lot of money. Hatch first build coming out of Tenza, and the spawning pool immediately thereafter at that 15 supply mark. Almost 400. Oh, no. Where did all that money go? Oh, it went into the orbital command as well as the supply depot down on the bottom side. It's so much money and it just disappears in 1 second. So NaDam is also going to be playing this just a little bit more passive, getting out that first Marine as that Reaper goes out. Like I was saying, if the refinery goes down at like the 11 or 12 supply mark, then usually you have enough gas to just forego that first Marine and go someplace else. Really cool positioning of this Marine down by the orbital command. That's not a misstep. That's so that if the Overlord actually makes himself known, the Marine can get underneath it and actually kill it. And NaDam was waiting for that Overlord to overextend onto the ground to actually try for the scouting of that orbital command. But Tenza, just one step ahead of him, is poking up just to see exactly what is going on inside, and that is so cool. He's keeping that Overlord away from any of the areas where that Marine could actually shell down damage, keeping that Overlord alive, making it so that he can get out those two queens, hit all of the supply timing he needs to, and that is awesome. That is so great. Hatcheries are done. Supplies are beginning to climb. 21 over 18. Like I said, the Overlord is done, but the Reaper is making its way up into the natural. It's going to be poking down just a little bit of aggression, but no big deal. No big deal at all. CC on the low ground, and we see the factory also being added on back at home for NaDam. Unfortunately, the Queens are just going to be popping out in a handful of seconds. Good control here from Tenza, keeping that one drone alive by making it into a Spore Crawler. In fact, we can see that both workers no workers have been killed just yet. The Queens were a little bit delayed because he was getting out two of them at one time, but because of that, he'll be able to really nicely line up his larva injects, and with another two on the way, those four Queens are really going to be making the job of this Reaper hiding beneath that brush just a little bit harder than normal, especially with those six Zerglings. A little bit more than you'd expect with a 4-queen opening, but maybe that means that Tenza is going to be a little bit aggressive. It's going to be hard to be aggressive against a factory with a reactor on it. We can see two Hellions on the production tab as that natural is done being made into an orbital command. So I don't see a lot of aggression out of either player. I think Tenza is going to be relying on his Zerglings. I mean, Whirlwind is a huge map. He hasn't started on speed just yet. He's going to be doubling up on that creep spread because he's got so many queens, and those 4 queens are done, so his larva injects are really going to be bounding along. It's difficult to take and hold this third base because it's very, very far away. It requires a lot of creep tumors to actually make its way to that third. So when Tenza elects to take that third, it's either delayed because of these guys right here, or it's risky. You can try to take that third regardless of these, but then your queens are super exposed because they're having to walk off of that creep. Regardless, it's difficult. It's a tough decision, and it looks like Tenza is going for it. He's got his hatchery down already, and he's only got to deal with 2 Hellions and a single Reaper, but we see that, oh no, Actually, I was expecting 2 more Hellions to be on the production tab, but no, he switched right over to that siege tank production. Tenza's standing by, doesn't want to get his queens off of creep just yet. He is doing his best to spread it, and obviously Hellions and Reapers, not the most devastating DPS that you can do to a hatchery ever. But still, it is a lot of damage, and for free. So he doesn't want to sacrifice his Zerglings, he doesn't want to sacrifice his queen, he doesn't want to push forward and open himself up to a run-by. But if he doesn't do something soon, that third is going to go down, as long as those Hellions and Reapers just continue to shell down damage. On the other side of things, NaDam has completed his wall off a little bit after the 6-minute mark, but he had those Hellions out there to do some control of that area. The queen's getting frisky now that the creep is spreading, but only 300 hit points. It's probably only going to have like 500 by the time it actually finishes. But the siege tank back at home with that bunker means that this natural is incredibly safe. Really no worries for NaDam back at home. Even with 20 Zerglings on the way, even with speed beginning to go. Hatchery finishes, and with that explosion of creep, it looks like the queens are brave enough to actually push forward. Will try shelling down damage. Manages to take out the one Reaper, but the other 2... Oh, wow, Metabolic Boost finishes in the nick of time. Both of the Hellions get caught. Cleaned up completely. A big win for Tenza. Not only managing to take those guys down and keep his hatchery up, but also completely taking down every single bit of map control from NaDam. So now NaDam doesn't have anything back at home to save him from any sort of rush. He needs to be able to scout that out. Overlord has made its way in, sees the 1-1 on the way, as well as the starport being added on. The tech lab working on stem. It doesn't look like combat shields is started just yet. So this +1 timing is probably what we're going to be seeing once those first 2 medevacs coming out about the 11 to 12 minute mark. Tenza now with a strong amount of map control has all of these Zerglings out there. Look at that creep spread just exploding out in so many different directions. Baneling Nest and Lair being added on back at home, and a lot of gas. All 6 of his geysers have been tapped right now. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a Spire come up once that Lair is done. Oh, wow, look at that Spire. Shazam. Like I summoned it. We also have the pneumatized Carapace being added on. I don't believe we've seen the Ventral Sacs. He won't be able to do any drops just yet, but we're beginning to see the Overlord spread off into so many different directions, which is going to help him a lot. Not only is he going to be able to scout out a lot of different potential bases, like hidden bases for NaDam, very common for Terran to do that, as well as Zerg, but also it'll be helpful to him to scout out the different avenues that drop play can play into it, because as Zerg begins to spread out in many different directions, especially with this third being incredibly weak and the fourth being so incredibly far away, he needs to be aware of the different drops that could be happening from Terran. On the other side of the thing with Terran, he's beginning to do that kind of mix of Widowmine and Marine, beginning to move away from the siege tanks, which is cool. Widowmines are incredibly powerful, especially with their Widowmine fields against the heavy Zergling and Baneling mix that we're going to be seeing out of Tenza. And then with those Widowmines being able to shell down a lot of damage to those Banelings, the Mutalisks are really the only other recourse that Tenza has in order to get in there. And those Marines have to stay alive from those Baneling hits. And you rely pretty much exclusively on those Widowmines. So a lot of very tense micro, a lot of very tense positioning and mind games. I mean, you've really got to play, do I send just a single Zergling forward because I suspect the minefield is going to be here, or is that going to warn the opponent that my army is right behind it? Can I afford to move my Mutalisks in here to just kind of focus down these Widowmines, or is there a trap there? Is there going to be a stem? Combat shield's going to be finishing, +2 on the way. 1-1 is already done for both players, and we've got centrifugal hooks is done, so those Banelings are going to be incredibly intimidating in just a couple of seconds. Also, what's intimidating is this creep spread. Look at this. It's already a quarter of the map, only at the 12-minute mark. When this push happens, and it looks like it's getting ready to happen in just a couple of seconds. All the upgrades are done. I don't think he's going to be waiting for 2-2. I think he's just waiting for that first round of medevacs more than anything else. But this push, he can't push very far. He can't push in here to take out a base because there is none. The base is on the other side of the map. And he can't push very deep into creep because those Banelings are going to be able to get right on top of him. I foresee a scan should go down in just a couple of seconds, because every second that NaDam spends on this creep is just... he's opening himself up to a lot of counter-aggression, doing a great job spreading out his Widowmines, making it so that each one of them burrows. There goes the stem. Here comes the push, but only a handful of units coming in. Massive Baneling hits from Tenza right on top, probably taking out half of the Marines. And now that the Widowmines have discharged the majority of their blow, another round of Zerglings coming in. But what is this? Another round of Zerglings pushing in one more time, managing to push back those Marines all the way into the very last aspects of that Widow minefield, and only 3 of those Widow mines, 4 of those Widow mines remain alive. There goes the quick pickup of those supply depots, and it looks like there was a very, very narrow gap, but NaDam with very quick reflexes quickly put a Marauder right in there to keep his 3rd alive. Look at so many of these Zerglings. We have a lot of Mutalisks out on the field too, but those Mutalisks really haven't been doing a lot of damage. No workers killed just yet, not a lot of harassment, mainly due to the fact that we have Widow mines which do so much damage to Mutalisks, but also those Marines being able to stem and get underneath them and crushing them very quickly. We don't have a lot of Marauders being added to the mix, not a lot of siege tanks. It's basically just Widow mine and Marine, and that's a very mobile force, one that can do a lot of damage to Mutalisks, even in small numbers. Hive on the way, and so I think Tenza is going to be doing the transition into Ultralisk sooner or later. He's got his 4th up, it's saturated, he's got all the gas income in the world that you could possibly hope for. And he's got a very large bio ball on the ground. 2-2 is done, probably going to be starting 3-3 once that Hive is done. And throw down that Ultralisk Cavern so you can start on that chitinous plating. NaDam really hasn't been doing a lot of harassment, which is the main problem. Yeah, his initial push, that 12-minute timing attack, was awesome. It was very well done. He lost it all to that one massive Baneling hit and didn't do a lot of damage with it. It was well executed, but it was just well played by Tenza on the back of it. He had a very strong economy, had a lot of Zerglings up. Speaking of a lot of Zerglings, holy crap. So many Zerglings pushing in here. We're really going to have no issues cleaning up these Marines. And every time these Marines step onto creep, they just open themselves up to a world of hood. However, that initial push did manage to take out a large stretch of creep, and as that creep recedes, it's going to make it so that NaDam can push deeper and deeper into enemy territory, maybe make his way into that natural, and that natural is just now started on +3/+3. That is a high priority target for NaDam. NaDam is pushing in. The Mutalisks are making their way off to the north side of the 3rd. It looks like NaDam's doing his best to spread up everything in, foreseeing the fact that it's probably going to be dealing with some Baneling hits, a really good Baneling hit there. Huge army just kind of sitting here waiting. What in the world are you waiting for? Needs to push in there, waiting for those Banelings to finish up. Adrenal land upgrades just now starting, 3-3 starting up for NaDam also. It looks like he's definitely weathered the storm of all those Banelings, but the majority of his force was taken down. It looks like he's going to get those 3-3. Excellent play here by NaDam. Managing to take down 1. Looks like 3 armor is not going to get cleaned up with only 100 hit points left. What a massive Widow Mine hit. Holy crap. Tenza and NaDam exchanging titanic blows at the same time. The Mutalisks have made their way in, just devastated a workers mineral line right there. 16 workers killed in total in the favor of Tenza. Good work there from those Mutalisks, really having a field day picking off all those, but ultimately rebuffed by the continual supply of all those Marines. At the same time, it looks like NaDam has come back and crushed that Evo chamber, but not. Oh yeah, it was right before the +3 ground was done. Look at that, he's still on 2-2. That is just brutal. That's absolutely brutal. Really, Tenza needed that. However, he's got 8 Ultralisks on the way, and he has managed to keep every single one of his mining bases still up. There's still been no drops at all from NaDam, which is really the major strength to this, is being able to load up a handful of Marines and Marauders into a medevac and make your way into one of the 30 different bases that Zerg has, and then just do a little bit of economic damage. Make it so that Tenza can't directly engage you. NaDam, though, is trying to exchange blow for blow and kind of ignoring the hallmark of this build. And ultimately, Marine and Marauder, they don't do the best in the world against Ultralisks that are fully supported, even Ultralisks that are not fully upgraded with 2-2. Chitinous plating is going to be finishing, so a massive boost to that armor. Here goes the hot pickup, those medevacs slowly making their way over to the natural. However, there was another drop over here by the 3rd, managing to clean up quite a lot of nothing, actually. Only 2 workers killed. All the workers surviving off to the top left-hand side. Looks like a mini drop down in the natural and a main drop down in the main, but the main is pretty much mined out right now. So many different drops in so many different corners. NaDam finally remembering the main strength that he has, which is, I don't have to fight these Ultralisks. I don't have to play fair. I can play wherever I want to, and if you don't want to play with me, I'll pick up my toys and I'll go home. He lifts off and leaves. And really, Tenza's got a lot of tech right here. He's got the Ultralisk Cavern, he's got the Infestor Pit, he's got the Spire too. Wow, that is a lot of tech that is very open to a drop. And just like those Evo chambers, if they go down, that can really put Tenza back. Tenza still hasn't gotten that 3-3 yet. Still on 2-2. +3 armor is just now finishing. It's about halfway done, which is really going to be a nice boost to those Ultralisks. Definitely more cost effective that way. Another drop with a handful of Marines, but with a lot of Mutalisks in the area. Oh no, those Mutalisks are chasing after the Medivacs. It looks like that Ultralisk cavern is going to go down. So many Ultralisks, the Congo line of Ultralisks making their way in, but not before the Medivac manages to pick up all of its units and fly home. On the other side of things, NaDam is just now taking his fourth, unable to take it actually because of the Zergling underneath. His main is totally mined out. His natural is very well saturated, fully saturated. And he's got a lot of orbitals out there, but this one should really become a planetary once it lands so that he can actually deal with the Zergling run-bys as we move into the late game. We're at the 20-minute mark. A lot of Mutalisks and a lot of Ultralisks are out on the field right now. NaDam is going to have to rely pretty much exclusively on drops because he cannot take and force a direct confrontation, because if he does, these Ultralisks are really going to make his day a lot worse. 3 armor is going to be finishing as these Ultralisks begin to move out, +3 weapons just now starting. I believe Terran is up on 3-3 with +1 vehicle weapons, or armor, I guess. It's for all the vehicles. It's for the flying ones and the land ones, so even better, even better. Here comes a small little push. Not a lot of Banelings added into this mix, but that's okay because Ultralisk's Kaiser Blades do a hell of a lot of extra damage, and because of Whirlwind's just natural chokes that they have, the Marines were kind of capable of rebuffing that massive force. This force really wasn't able to engage with the natural concave that it wanted to get. 10 more Banelings being morphed in. A lot of Banelings already out on the field, almost 30 of them. In total, 9 Ultralisks beginning to push out. Oh my goodness, this is going to be a big fight. But again, this natural choke exists, and NaDam is holding the line right now. Here comes the massive Widowmine hits. Where are the massive Widowmine hits? Where? Oh, okay, they're just now engaging. My computer barely managing to catch up with this. Pretty much everything from Tenza begins to go down. Only the Ultralisks remain alive, and the stutter step micro from NaDam is just proving to be so much. Wow. Oh, a handful of the Banelings had remained alive in the middle of those Ultralisks. A massive hit right on top of NaDam, managing to take down around half of his force bow with the planetary fortress there, repaired by all those SCVs. It looks like these Ultralisks are going to have to retreat, not being able to do too much damage when they're not supported by a healthy plethora of Zerglings and Banelings. Another drop going down into the natural, being able to take down about half the health of the Baneling nest, but not doing the economic damage necessary to keep Tenza away from being aggressive. 4 more Ultralisks coming out, +3 is going to be finishing in just a handful of seconds. And remember, these Mutalisks are still alive. Those Mutalisks have been hunting all game long. We only have a handful of Medivacs left, only 4 of them left. I think we had like up to 9 a short time ago, and those Mutalisks really have been doing a number on those Medivacs, beginning to clean them up. We have another drop swinging off to the north side, maybe looking around for these hidden bases, but with so many bases taken and some of them only slightly saturated, really Tenza can just afford to lose at least 1 hatchery for the time being. Really doing a good job keeping his money down too, despite his economy. 70 harvesters in total, 46 for NaDam, so he also has a very healthy economy. Oh no, another bad engagement. Very good pick off from NaDam, picking up the majority of his forces. However, he did lose a healthy chunk to those Banelings, but every single time that those engagements happen, that's another engagement that Tenza doesn't get to do on the doorstop. And really with those Ultralisks, you just need to keep them away from the infrastructure, keep them away from your harvesters back at home. Harvesters are going down, and this time I don't think Tenza's going to be able to save that hatchery if NaDam wants to clean it up. Looks like one of the Medivacs is beginning to retreat, as no, they do manage to pick up everything, and it looks like the initial push from Tenza has been cleaned up by the just continual stream of Marines and Widowmines. NaDam's staying in this for so much longer than I thought. He's got a very healthy bank back at home. He's not spending it though. He's still very far behind on supply. He's very behind on supply. He needs a massive army. He needs a massive infrastructure back at home, and he does have a good, just nice chunk of infrastructure. I'd love to see him throw down a handful of starports, maybe some tech labs, get out some Ravens, and begin to throw down some Hunter-Seeker missiles, because you know, those Hunter-Seeker missiles, maybe even some autocannons, can really do a lot of harassment on these hatcheries. You only need 1 or 2 of them to be able to throw down enough to really lock down some of the tech back at home. You can also use those missile turrets, or those auto turrets, to kind of make it so that the Ultralisks have a hard time getting close to your bio ball, gives you enough time to actually retreat. As things are now, NaDam does have a lot of money, but he doesn't have a lot of time because Tenza has finally managed to clean up every drop that NaDam has sent his way, and it looks like the third is going to fall. No big loss there. It looks like the mineral fields were beginning to get mined out, but oh man, this is a much bigger loss. A lot of the SCVs are going to get cleaned up as they make their way over to the planetary fortress. One of the supply depots was lowered, and it looks like the Ultralisks are now going to town on that infrastructure. This is exactly what I was talking about. We have another drop going down into the natural, but the Mutalisks are there, and with more than enough Mutalisks left to clean up that drop, it looks like the natural is going to fall, and it is a matter of time. Will these Ultralisks swing down south and actually clean up the main, or will they come up here once again? Round 2 on that planetary fortress. Tenza swinging past the planetary fortress to get the surround, make it so that the SCVs are not capable of repairing it. With that goes, I think it's every bit of the economy from NaDam. He can drop a handful more mules down at his third, and it looks like he's got 2 different drops, one on the very top right hand side. Lord knows what number base this is, and it was slightly saturated by those drones. Switching over to the workers kill tab, 70 to 38. The majority of those workers killed coming from that massive blow from those banelings just a couple of seconds ago. Looks like another drop was happening over here at the 4th after managing to take down the 3rd, but again, you know, NaDam had absolutely no economy to speak of. Look, he wasn't even 4 harvesters. Oh man, 0 minerals. Once you get up those Ultralisks, if you haven't already gotten a lead, it's very difficult to stay in the lead with just Marines and Widow Mines. It's such a good build when it's used with mobility, but if you really want to play a slugging match, there's other builds out there that can go toe-to-toe with the Ultralisks, and I don't believe that Marines, maybe a handful of Marauders, and Widow Mines is it. A lot more Marauders, maybe this would have played out differently, but as things are now, Tenza definitely takes this map with a commanding lead of all those Ultralisks. That was great. That was really, really cool. I'm still nerded out about the Overlord at the very, very start. Like the first 20 seconds into the game, I was like, oh my goodness, that Overlord control, it's so cool. You know what else is cool is oGaming. Feel free to stop by their website. It is located at teamogaming.net. You can check out all the news. They've got many different sports teams depending on what your flavor is. They got Team Liquid, Dota, and of course our beloved StarCraft 2. You guys are beloved. I will see you guys later. I am Big and Scary. Bye.